All right, guys, can you hear me now? Sorry about that. Apparently, I'm an idiot and I did not have my mic plugged in for the first 20 minutes of my live stream, so forgive me on that. Let me get my stuff together here. Wait a few minutes to see if anybody checks in. All right, so sorry about that, guys. I'm gonna had to restart the stream over. It looks like I did not have my mic plugged in, so apologize for that. So this is the Axpona 2023 live stream recap. So thank you guys for joining in. Again, for those that were joined on the other live stream, my bad, but thank you for watching. Let's have fun, be kind to one another. Let's keep it G-rated. All right, so I recently went to Chicago for Axpona 2023. Actually, not Chicago, it was Schaumburg, Illinois. And that was my first time there. I guess technically it wasn't my first time, but I've stopped in Chicago at the airport because of like layovers and stuff, but this is the first time in Illinois that I actually got to like stay and do stuff. So really cool experience. If you guys have never been to Axpona, I would encourage you to go, especially if you're like a hi-fi enthusiast and you like checking out different type of speakers. I mean, $1 million systems, like setups, thousands of dollars. Really cool experience. But yeah, I went to Axpona, first time there. It was very nice. Wasn't cold. Basically the same weather as Texas, which I was disappointed because I was looking forward to, being cold and having some snow because we never really get a real winter here in Houston. But yeah, so I was there for, let's see, I flew in Wednesday night, really late Wednesday night, got a hotel. So technically I was there for like, I guess 4 days, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So yeah, so I got some stuff to show you guys. I guess I'll start over and show you the Giordano's. So if you've been to Chicago, if you're going to Chicago, if you're going to Schaumburg, like Chicago's is known for deep dish pizza, and Giordano's is like the. Let me share my screen here. So, Giordano's, that is like probably their most famous, I guess, deep dish pizza place. So my first time there, I've always been like a thin crust pizza guy. But I have friends from Chicago, and everyone from Chicago swears that, deep dish is the best. So I was like, you know what? While I'm there, let me go ahead and try. I don't know what to expect, but let me go ahead and try it. And I gotta say, I was very impressed. So much so that I went back again. So I went there twice. I think I went there on Thursday, and then I went back on Saturday, I believe. But that's the pizza. So really good. I was very impressed. Like I said, I went back. I went twice. So this is the pizza I got. They have a bunch of toppings, and apparently they don't do like to go. So I got a 6-inch, which turned out to be perfect because I was able to eat the whole thing. I didn't want to like waste it, especially since I couldn't take it with me. But I got seasoned ground beef. I got pepperoni, Italian sauce. I'm sorry, pepperoni, white onions, and green bell peppers. And I guess it's kind of like layered but mixed together. And then they have like the sauce on top. And you have to eat this with a fork. I mean, I guess you could try to eat it with your hands, but you typically have to eat this with a fork and a knife. So there is the crust. So it's not thick, but it's not thin either. It's just perfect, and it's kind of flaky. But be warned, if you've never had it before, it legitimately takes like 45 minutes to cook this thing. From the time that I put in my order to me actually getting it, it was about 45 to 50 minutes. And at first I was like, man, what is going on? Because there was only like 10 people in there. But apparently that's how long it takes. So I don't know if it's because it's so, deep that it needs to cook longer, but it takes a long time. So that's the pizza. And then this is, so I'm going to harp on this for a minute. This is Starbucks. So I was staying in a hotel and I was doing Lyft, and I had a budget, so I didn't want to just Lyft every single place to go to get something to eat because that gets expensive. But I woke up the first day on Friday. I was super hungry, and I was like, what? I'll just wait till I get to the hotel, Schaumburg Hotel, where they have an Axpona, to get something to eat. So when I walked into the hotel, they had a Starbucks, and I'm like, cool, Starbucks. Like, I know Starbucks. I eat there. I don't eat there all the time, but I've eaten their menu. So walk up to the Starbucks and I'm looking at the menu. First bad sign is they don't have anything that I order here in Houston. So I'm like, that's kind of weird. I thought, they would all have the same stuff. So then I'm looking at the prices, and this sandwich here is like $10. So I'm like, all right, that's double of what it costs in a normal Starbucks. Like, that's weird. So I'm like, whatever, like, I'm hungry. I need to eat something. So they had this, breakfast egg and sausage and cheese sandwich. So I order it, I get it, I open it, and this is what is inside. And as soon as I opened it, I looked at it, I'm like, this looks absolutely disgusting. I don't even want to eat this, but I just paid $10 for it. I'm super hungry. Maybe it won't taste bad. And I bit into it like, what's up, Easy Home Theater Tech? Yeah, my bad, man. I'm a dummy. I didn't have my microphone. I had it plugged in, just not into the right device. So thank you for joining. But yeah, I bit into this, and legitimately, I didn't even chew it. I just bit into it and I spit it out and I threw the whole thing away because it was absolutely just disgusting. I mean, it looks disgusting. And I was super mad because I'm like, I just paid $10 for this, nothing else, and it was nasty. I mean, look at it. Like, the egg is bigger than the sandwich. Like, how is that even possible? This is like the TARDIS of breakfast sandwiches. If anybody watches Doctor Who, if I was to walk into the TARDIS, this is what the Doctor would be eating. Just like, that's probably the nastiest breakfast anything that I've ever put into my mouth. Just gross. Okay. So Axpona. So yeah, if you've never been, it's basically this massive hotel that has just rooms all the way from the 16th floor all the way to the lobby. Just rooms upon rooms upon rooms upon rooms of, speakers and amps and turntables. So, let me see. Ike says, where did you get that from? And he's talking about the sandwich. So that was at Starbucks. So apparently, I guess if there's a Starbucks in, and I didn't know this, but one of my friends said that they have Starbucks in like a Macy's or something like that. But yeah, the Starbucks in the Schaumburg Hotel is a sham. Like, it was completely different. The prices were like super, super expensive. And it was just like, I'll never eat there again. So yeah, so Axpona, the rooms are just like rooms upon rooms of speaker companies, amplifiers, turntables, just really cool stuff. So this was the Focal room. So Focal had they basically had like three setups or three to four setups in one big hotel room. So when you walk in, like if you look straight, this is what you would see. So these are the Focal. I think these are the Utopias. I have a video on this on the channel if you want to check it out. And then I have one for home theater review. But these are the, I believe these are the Utopias. And then here in the middle, they have, let me see if I can make this bigger. There we go. So here in the middle, you have a name streamers. So they had that hooked up there. And then here is a video. I don't know if you guys will be able to hear this. Let me know if you can hear it or not. If it'll even play. Doesn't look like it's gonna let me play. So let me just go to the next one. But it's basically just a video of them playing some music. This system sounded really, really good. Everything in the Focal room sounded really good. But there's the big Focal sign. When you first walk in, that's what you're greeted with. So there's the speakers. They have some in walls there. I can't remember if these in walls are new or not. But that's the room, or that's part of the room. And let's see if this is gonna, I don't think this is gonna let me play. So I'm just gonna skip to the next one. So this is also Focal. So they just announced at, I believe this was the first time they announced it at Axpona. They had this outdoor options that you can get now. So you've got these speakers here. And then, so over here you've got these speakers, and then you have some in-ceiling speakers for outdoor. This one is a subwoofer. I don't know if you guys can see my cursor, but there's a subwoofer, and then there's some speakers. And then these down here, they call them, I think they call these the rocks, the white ones. So those are some speakers down there. And then behind there, they have a subwoofer that you can use. So this system actually sounded really, really good for an outdoor setup. Like, it sounds like you could have this, it sounded like a theater. Like, that's how good it sounded. Now, obviously, it's not outside, so it's going to sound really good, but it sounded really good. So if you guys are into, like, you know, patio, outdoor decks kind of stuff, you have parties or, you know, gatherings with friends, and you want some good, you know, speakers to use outdoor, check them out. I don't remember what the pricing is. I have the pricing somewhere in the email, but those sounded pretty good. So this was the per listen room, and this room sounded good. So this is the R series. So this is their cheaper line, and then by cheaper I mean price. So you've got the R series bookshelves, and then you have the R210s. And I actually didn't realize that these were 10s until I just watched a video that Shane Lee did earlier on these. He did a review on those, so I didn't realize that these were 10s. So this is like their entry level, you know, starting point for subs. But the room sounded good. They don't usually typically, the only gripe that I have with per listen is that they don't usually typically turn it up very loud. Like, the music's usually very mellow, and I mean, I guess that's not really what the show is for. Some rooms, they turn it up like really loud, too loud. But I keep bugging them because I want to hear this. You know, I want to hear per listen in like a home theater setup. But I was talking to Eric, and he was saying that they don't have anything, like they don't have a demo room where they can, you know, like a full 7.2.4 or 9.2.6. But he was saying that they're trying to work with some dealers to, like, you know, I guess around the country, to have a showroom that has per listen speakers that, you know, you can go and like demo a home theater setup with nothing but per listen. So he was like, you know, we are working on that. And he was like, if I find out that, you know, there's a dealer with a showroom close by, in your area, whether it's like Houston or Austin or Dallas. And he's like, I'll let you know, and you can go, if you want, you can go check it out, or you can go over there and film. So that will be cool, because I feel like I still haven't really gotten to experience per listen the way that I want to experience it yet. But the room sounded good. And I know some other people, they said that they like this room. They had 2 rooms. So the other room is their S series. So that's their flagship series. And unfortunately, I didn't take a lot of pictures, because most of the time I was just running around like filming, and the pictures that I did take were usually for like for a thumbnail for the video. So next time I'm going to remember to take more pictures so I can show you guys. But that's the per listen room. And then this is the Bowers and Wilkins room. So they had Bowers and Wilkins, and so they had this on the side. Over to the right, you can't see it, I think I have a picture of it, but over to the right of this, they had the some Bowers and Wilkins towers that were hooked up to some Macintosh amps. And so this room actually sounded really, really good, but I felt like they had it up just way too high. I went in there and I was trying to film, and I was doing a video with one of these guys that you'll see later, and it was just, I'm like, man, can you guys like turn this down? Like, it was just too loud. Eventually they did turn it down for me. I asked them to turn it down like later when I was doing a video with someone else. But Bowers and Wilkins sounds really, really good. So they had a bunch of different speakers. They had bookshelves, they had some center channels, and then they had some towers. And a couple of the towers there, I think, they have like a new design that, like I said, I have a video coming out on Home Theater Reviews channel, and then I'll have like an extended version on my channel. All right, and then so this is what I was talking about. So to the right of this was this setup. And I don't remember what model these are, but I believe these Macintosh amps over here are like new. And one of the representatives, I did a video with him talking about it. It's very interesting how it works. But this room sounded really good. I think this is probably one of the rooms that I would say was one of the best sounding. I just think they had it up way too loud. Like when you walked in there, you almost couldn't hear the person 2 feet in front of you talking. That's how loud it was. But really cool room. And then outside of this room, they had the Macintosh amps with the Macintosh speakers, like the huge speakers that have like, I don't know, like 20 or 30 drivers on it or something crazy. So now this is the Massimo room, or one of the Massimo rooms. So this is Polk. This is the R200 anniversary edition. Obviously that there's speakers that cost 100 times what these Polk speakers cost. But for me, this room stole the show. Like, I walked in there and Ryan was in there, and I met Ryan at CEDIA. I did a video with him on some, believe it was the Denon 3100H or A1H. But he was in there, so I got with him and I was like, hey man, I'll be there, let's get together and record. Went in there and he was playing some demo music because there were some other people in there. And I was like legitimately blown away. Now, when I went in there, he was talking, and then after he finished talking, he did some demos for the people that were in there. But while he was talking, I was looking around and I was like, okay, there's no sub in here, so how are these speakers going to sound? That room was extremely impressive. If I didn't know any better, I would have thought that there was like seriously 210s in that room. It was crazy. The R200s put out some crazy amount of bass for the size of the speaker. And I'll have a video coming out on that on Home Theater Reviews channel. But yeah, these speakers are legit. And I know Andrew Robinson is always talking about these speakers, and I see why, because they're legit. If you haven't heard them, man, go check those out. Those things are like, it's mind-blowing what they were able to do with the speaker that size. And I've had Pokes for 10 years. Actually, I just sold my last two speakers of Pokes a couple days ago. And I mean, oh, they're probably, I had them for 10 years and I don't remember how old the actual model is. But man, these stole the show for me. Like these were very, very impressive. So there's another picture of the R200, and it's the anniversary edition. So you've got your turbine cone there, and then you've got your ring radiator tweeter. So this is another Focal room. So this was all the way in the back of the Focal room, and this is their new Tiva line. So they announced some new speakers geared towards home theater, and so you've got a center channel, and you've got some bookshelf speakers, and then you can't see them, but in the back, in the corners, in the left and the right corner, they have these towers that have a driver in it that's angled, and there's a little, there is a grill on top that you can take off, and you can see the driver is angled. And apparently they use some type of like laser beam technology to aim the sound to where the sound doesn't actually break up until it hits the ceiling. Once it hits the ceiling, then the sound breaks up. I honestly didn't really get a chance to see how that sound. They were playing Dolby Atmos music, but obviously I was in there filming, and I mean I did get to hear it and it sounded amazing, but they didn't, at least while I was in there, they didn't play any type of like home theater, like movies or demos, stuff like that. So I don't really know how well that actually works. I'm always going to be a like on wall or in ceiling or on ceiling type of guy. I'm just not really a big fan of like up firing stuff, but it is Focal, so I imagine that technology is going to be better than like just an Atmos topper. But this room is really cool. They've got two subs in there, and they had, I think it was a 7.2.2 setup, because I don't think any of the other speakers had Atmos on them, but it sounded really good. So check that out. And then this is Acora Acoustics. So I believe this room was $730,000, I believe. Super expensive. These speakers, I forget what these are made out of. I don't know if it's marble or some type of, I think it's some type of rock that it's made out of. And then in the middle, they had, I think though, they had some tube amps. It looked like tube amps. But this room was cool. I didn't really get to hear them very much, but it sounded good. A lot of these rooms, they had them, for me, at least in my experience, most of the rooms were either like way too low or just way too high, and I didn't really get a chance to experience what it sounded like. But again, I believe this room is like $730,000. I have it. It's in my video where I do like the montage. So like I said, I've got the pricing somewhere. So I got to meet Ryan. If you guys watch Youth Man's channel, he's on there every Sunday with him. So it's funny. Like Ryan's a really, really tall dude, like just a big dude in general. And anytime somebody of that stature, I believe he said he's 6'5". Whenever you see somebody like that out of the corner of your eye, you automatically just turn to look, because you're like, man, that's a big dude. And so I was walking, and I saw, this massive presence out of the corner of my eye, and I looked. I'm like, oh, that's Ryan. So I've never actually met him in person. He was actually at Cedia last year, but I didn't get a chance to talk to him because he was over at the Trinoff booth, and he was just like, there was just a million people over there. But I walked up to him, and I was like, hey, what's up, Ryan? And he's like, oh, hey, what's up, man? So we started talking for a little bit. He had just walked out of a room. I don't remember what speakers they had in there, but he was like, yeah, he's like, I had to walk out of there because there was just too much distortion. Like the speakers started distorting. He didn't look too happy. But I got to talk to him for a little bit. Really cool guy. Like I said, tall dude. I had to look up to him, but I think he said he's 6'5", and I'm 6'1", so But really cool dude. Got a chance to meet him. I'm gonna try to go to M-Wave. I'm pretty sure that I can make it. It's probably only gonna be like one day, but I really do, want to go check that out. So that was cool. And then these are some PSB speakers, and I believe that's a NAD streamer in the middle. These speakers sounded really good too. I walked in there just kind of randomly, just the audio bell. Granite, yeah, those were Granite. So yeah, those speakers was Granite. Yeah, I knew it was something like that. What's up, Cynthia? Thanks for tuning in. So yeah, these are PSB speakers, and this room actually sounded really good. I just walked in there randomly just to try to get some B-roll and some stuff. But I didn't sit down, but I ended up kind of just standing there, and I was like, man, these sound really, really good. So a lot of these rooms, there's a ton of rooms that I didn't really get to see just because, like I said, I was working a lot. And so, next time I'm going to try to take some time out to like enjoy the rooms and see more rooms. But I was kind of focused because, I do some work I work for Home Theater Review. So they wanted me to try to get, the website sponsors, which, Massimo, Macintosh, SVS, stuff like that. So I was just running around. Let's see. Audio Bell says, not much. LOL, still grinding away at work. Still? Man, it's 7 o'clock. It's pretty late. But hey, do what you got to do to pay the bills, right? So that was PSB. And let's see, what else do I have? So this is Technics. So I have a pretty lengthy video that I shot with them. So they're also, Technics is also a sponsor of Home Theater Review. So they wanted me to go in there and film some stuff. So they had 2 rooms, I think, I believe. They were debuting, like, I think the main thing was one of their turntables, and then they had like a streamer. So these are some people that work for Technics. So I interviewed the gentleman all the way to the far right. And like I said, that video is going to be posted on Home Theater Reviews channel, hopefully next week. But yeah, that room was really cool. So yeah, I've got a lot to edit. So I think between myself and Home Theater Reviews YouTube channel, I got like 15 videos, and probably 5 are probably going to be for me. And then, the other 10 are going to be for Home Theater Review. So Audio Bell says 12 to 9. That's a long shift. What is that? So, no, I guess that's about right. That's about a normal shift, 12 to 9. That's just late. But like I said, man, do what you got to do. I personally wouldn't want to work that late, just because, like, I have sleep apnea, so getting off that late, like, I would have to come home and probably eat and shower and stuff. So, but some people like working those hours. I had a friend that worked the night shift for, man, probably 10 to 15 years, and now he's not doing that. Now he's working like regular hours. But I was like, I can't do that. That's just too much for me. But thank you for tuning in. All right, let's see. Okay, so these are the Dolly speakers. So this is probably on my, I guess, top 5 of speakers or systems that I thought sounded the best. Massive, massive speakers. These speakers cost $110,000 a pair. And then in the middle, they have a NAD. I think it's a preamp and a streamer. I think there's 2. There's a preamp and a streamer in one, and then I think they have like an app here. That was $6,000 for the NAD. But these speakers are really cool, man. I know the size scale doesn't really show here, but they were almost right about eye level or to my head. But really cool speakers. I shot a video with them as well, so that's going to be on my channel probably, hopefully next week. Really cool dude, really cool speakers. They sounded really good. they didn't have them up too loud, but what I heard sounded really, really good. And they were on the lobby floor, and they had them like, I mean, it was a really huge open space, but they still sounded really good. And part of that I shot is also in my video where I basically did like the montage of all the speakers, but really cool speakers. I was really impressed with those. So that's James Larson. Anybody that watches Audioholics, you know who he is. James Larson is like probably like the number one, I guess, like technical reviewer. Like he does some really, really good stuff. And he does a lot of work. Like he takes subs, big subs, takes them out to an open field and, test the subs and speakers. So that's a lot of work, man, because some of those subs aren't light. So he's going out there, and I don't know how he's getting them. I don't know if he's doing it by himself or he's getting somebody to help him. But I think I had just gotten off the elevator, and so around the corner was like the open lobby part, and he was propped up against that tree that's behind him. He was looking at something. I don't know if he was looking at like a schedule or a list, but I came around the corner and I saw him. I was like, hey, that's James Larson. And I almost just left him alone. I was like, no, I'm gonna go say hello. So I walked up to him. I was like, hey, what's up, James? I'm like, I know you don't know me, but I said, I watch you on Audioholics YouTube channel. He was like, oh yeah. So we started talking, and then he was like, what are you here for? And I was like, oh, I have a YouTube channel too. I'm just filming some stuff. So we talked about probably for about 10 or 15 minutes. We talked about some speakers, talked about per listen. And I was telling him that, I had just switched over to Arendal, and he was like, oh man, those speakers are awesome. So we started talking about that. But he's a very, very knowledgeable guy. And also as technical as he is, he's super down to earth, super cool, just really cool dude, man. Let's see, someone has a comment. It says, just tuning in now. Unknown user 2009-85. Thank you for tuning in. It says, just tuning in now. Did you happen to cover Emotiva or the new Plus series? So I did go to Emotiva. Unfortunately, when I went down there, all the representatives were basically kind of talking to other people. I was there for a while. Actually, I met Dan Loffman's wife. I don't remember her name, but it was funny because I was standing there, I was walking around, I was just getting B-roll. I probably won't have a video on it because I didn't really get to interview anybody. I was just taking B-roll, in case I got a chance to talk to someone for a video. But I was walking around and had stopped, and I think I was looking at the RMC1. I was actually looking at the RMC1 Plus, and I didn't know it because on the front it looks exactly the same. The only way that you would know it is from the back. And I didn't find that out until later. But I was standing there looking at it, and this woman walked up to me. She's like, hey, here's a ticket for our raffle. So they were having a raffle because those guys are always giving away stuff at shows. But I was like, oh, thank you. And I said, I'm actually, an Emotiva affiliate. Do I still qualify? She was like, oh. And so she started asking me, she was like, I think she asked me something like if they've paid me yet or something like that. And I was like, oh, I don't think I've generated any sales. And then we started talking, and I was like, oh, I don't think I've met you before, because I've never seen her in any shows. I didn't see her at the Emotiva Texas Audio Roundup. But I said, what's your name? And then she told me her name, and then she said her last name, and I was like, oh, you're Dan Loffman's wife. She's like, yeah. And I was like, oh, cool. I've never met you before. So we actually talked probably for about 20 minutes. Really cool lady. And we were actually talking about the RMC1 and RMC1 Plus. So I did see it. I didn't realize I was looking at it, and I didn't really get it. If I had known that's what I was looking at, I would have definitely asked more questions about it and got a video, but unfortunately I didn't. But they did have it there. So I think it's going to be coming soon. I think this year. If they had it on display, then that usually means that they're going to be coming, with more stuff soon. Let's see. And then this is Luxman. Most of you probably have never heard of this company. I had never heard of it. And the only reason why I know who they are is because they're also a sponsor of Home Theater Reviews website. So one of their representatives reached out to me and asked me if I was going to be there. And I was like, yeah, I'll be there. So she's like, well, we want to invite you to. So they had like this private event on Friday. So the Axpona was from Friday to Sunday from 10 to 6. So she's like, I think it was 6:30. She's like, at 6:30, we're going to have a private event. You can come in there and, you know, away from the crowds, the big crowds, you can come in there. And if you want, you can film, you can, you know, ask questions, stuff. So I went in there and I filmed. The video is already posted on Home Theater Reviews YouTube channel if you want to check that out. But I went in there and I filmed. They had like some snacks, some food, and then they had some sake, and then they had like beer and stuff. I didn't get any beer because I don't like beer, but I did try the sake. First time trying it. I didn't dislike it. It was okay. One of my friends told me that it was kind of sweet, but I didn't think it was that sweet. But yeah, so they had like a brand new turntable that they were debuting, a brand new turntable and a new streamer. Turntable was really, really nice. Now, I don't really know much about turntables because that's not my thing. That's kind of more, I guess, retro. So I don't really care about that stuff, but it is like, it is impressive to see like a really nice, like you can tell that a lot of these turntables in these rooms are just like super expensive. There's all kinds of engineering that go into them. So it's not like your typical record player. Like these things are super, super expensive. But I shot that room, so that's Luxman. They've got some really cool stuff in there. And I don't know if that might be it. So yeah, again, I didn't really take a whole lot of pictures just because I was working so much. And let's see, unknown user says thanks for the info. Yeah, no problem. So hopefully I'll get more info on, you know, the Emotiva RMC1 Plus and the other Plus models, because, you know, I do work with them, and I'm sure, you know, when it gets closer to them releasing it, there'll be more information. Someone said that the new RMC1 Plus is going to be run off of a Raspberry Pi, which I guess kind of makes sense because Raspberry Pi uses like a certain version of Linux. And I know that the information that I have says that the RMC1 Plus is going to have like I think it's a 10 times more powerful Linux software on it, something like that. So it'll be interesting to see, you know, I would love to get a review unit, but I don't know how that's going to work. I think that they're still working on the RMC1 Plus. I don't think it's like even the expansion modules to get more channels isn't ready yet. Like that's still being worked on, but I want to get one in for review because I want to utilize all the channels that I have in my room. I believe I have like 16 channels and I'm only using 11. But I would like to get a review unit, just even the RMC1, just to see what it's like. I know a lot of people say that it's buggy, but, you know, I don't know because I've never had it. Some people say they don't have any issues with it. Some people say that it's like super buggy, but it's probably one of the only ones, you know, that you can upgrade to. You know, the Trinov, you know, they expanded it. They gave you 4 more channels, but that's like $20,000. So, you know, the Emotiva products, you know, RMC1, RMC1L, XMC2. Well, the RMC1 I think is the only one that's expandable, but yeah, for $4,000 or $5,000, whatever it's going to be, that's a really good deal. So, let me see here. So yeah, so Axpona was really, really cool, man. Like, again, that was my first time. Cynthia, the audio bell, she's in the chat, or she was in the chat. I don't know if she still is, but she was there as well. She's been there a couple times, so I was talking to her. She has a YouTube channel, so go check that out. It's called The Audio Bell. Really cool. Her and her husband are really cool. Very, like, super, super nice couple. I saw them, I think, on the first day. I think it was Friday. It was Friday or Saturday. But super nice couple, man. They were like, hey, man, you know, if you need anything while you're here, you know, let us know. We'll help you because they drove. But yeah, really cool couple. Chris, that home theater dude, was there. There was some other YouTubers there as well. It's funny, when the people that are like social media, YouTubers and Instagrammers, they're all running around trying to film stuff. So I think everyone else got to, and some of it's kind of my fault. Like Sunday, I didn't really have a whole lot to do, but I was actually just kind of so tired, and I was just tired of filming. And I'm not complaining. I'm just saying that like by Sunday, I was like, okay, I'm kind of ready to go home already. So I did have some time where I could have went and like looked at a bunch of other rooms, but I was just so tired. I kind of left early too. I left, I think, around like 3 o'clock because the weather was starting to get a little bit iffy, and I wanted to get to the airport. I didn't want to miss my flight because it was like a super late flight, and then my flight got delayed like 3 times while I was at the airport. So I didn't get home till I didn't walk into my house until like 1:20 p.m. or a.m. I'm sorry. So thank goodness I had taken off on Monday. But yeah, let me see. There's some comments here. So that was me who said it was running off the. Okay, yeah, I remember someone said it. So yeah, when someone else did an interview with someone else, they showed the Raspberry Pi it's running off of. So I, I'm assuming that's what it uses on the RMC1 because I think Shane Lee did a video a couple years ago with the RMC1. And I believe like with Dirac, it comes with like a Raspberry Pi, and then it does Dirac that way because it's not like on the actual system. But I mean, Raspberry Pis are pretty solid. So I'm assuming it's going to be using a version of Linux with the Raspberry Pi kind of like inside. Unknown user says, I think it was Cheap Audio Man who did the interview. I have to check that out. But yeah. So yeah. Let me see someone else. It does have an RMC1. It does. I have an RMC1 out at the moment. Okay. So how do you like that, man? Like, what has been your experience with it? Is it buggy or is it still buggy? Like, what is your experience with it? Because, like I said, I haven't had a chance to. I'm supposed to get one, but I think there's not any available. So I don't know when I'll get one or if I'm gonna get one. But if I do get one, like I will, obviously I'm gonna review it and test it, and I'll probably end up just buying it because I don't know of anything else that's going to be within my price range to where I can get that many channels and still be expandable. I'll probably expand it to like 20. And I mean, I don't think I'll ever have more speakers in my theater beyond that. It looks like it's built in ATM. I'm not sure what that means. But, or like, it looks like it's built in at the moment. The biggest bug issue was with the HDMI board. I shut off CEC, etc., and it's much more stable. Cable boxes get the most issue. Yeah, I turn off CEC I never use that thing. I actually don't like it. Like, I would rather use my universal remote control to control that stuff. Like, to me, CEC is just a waste. I don't really know anyone that uses it. I know there are some, but I feel like it's just a wasted technology. Like, I don't care about CEC, and I don't want to use my products that way. What is everybody else doing tonight? Unknown user, where are you from? What city are you from? So, yeah. Axpona, and then M-Wave is in July. I'm pretty sure I can make it to that. Like, I'm about 85% positive. I don't want to say 100% just because it's 3 months away and stuff can happen, especially when you have a home. Like, you know, anything can happen. So I'm kind of waiting to give like a firm yes, just because I don't know, you know, what's gonna happen 3 months out. I'll probably wait until about a month out. I was looking at flights a couple days ago just to kind of get an idea to see what flights they have. More than likely, it's probably only going to be one day, so I may like fly up like Thursday evening and then probably like just hustle and spend all day Friday like filming, getting some content. But let's see. It's nowhere near as bad as people say, and I'm from Scranton. Okay, cool. Yeah, I know I have heard like there was a lot of bugs at first, but I think they've ironed out a lot of those issues that they've had. At least, you know, from the YouTube videos that I've seen, it seems like they've ironed all that stuff out for the most part. But I mean, I feel like there's pretty much bugs with anything now. Like we live in a generation where companies can just release stuff probably before they should, and I guess the upside to that is they have the ability to update it anytime they want to, either software or firmware. So that has its advantages and disadvantages. Advantage, you can get the stuff out sooner. And really, even though that they beta test and they may send out demo units, really the only way that you know like what bugs are going to be there is long-term use. And unfortunately, you don't really know that until it gets into the consumer's hands. So like I said, it's positives and negatives. Negative is basically the end user ends up being the beta tester. And, you know, but I feel like pretty much everything has, I mean, I still have stuff that I use every day that still has bugs every once in a while. So, you know, it's just something that we got to live with. All right, well, let's see, what time is it? 7:30. Probably gonna go ahead and end the stream here. I still have a lot to do. I still have a lot of videos to edit. Like, um, probably somewhere around 20, 25 videos to edit, maybe 30. But yeah, it's Friday, 7:30 now. So yeah, probably gonna go ahead and end it here, guys. Sorry for those that tuned in on the first stream. I didn't realize my microphone was not plugged in to the right device, so I'll probably end up deleting that one when it, you know, posts. But thank you everyone that has tuned in. You know, if you've been to Axpona, let me know down in the comments. You know, later, just go ahead and post that in the comments if you've been or if you plan on going, what your experience has been. Again, it was a really cool experience. I really enjoyed it. I'm going to try and go again next year, but you know, you never know what happens between now and then. I think they've already got the dates posted. But thank you guys for tuning in. Please hit the like button if you find value in this video. Share it with your friends, and thank everyone that, you know, continues to support the channel and continues to help the channel grow. The channel is growing, and I've gotten so many more opportunities to do different things, to work with different creators, to work with different people, different companies, and all of that is because of you guys, the viewers. So thank you very much. I genuinely appreciate it. Everyone have a good evening, have a good weekend, and I will see you in the next video. Have a good one, guys.